Well, hello, friends. Thank you so much for joining us for another conversation this week. I am joined with my co host here, Taylor.
Hey guys.
Hello. And today is really exciting, you guys, because it is the first day of our Road to Luxury workshop. If you joined us or are planning to join us a little bit later today, we're excited to be coaching you for day one. Taylor, how great is today going to be?
So good. I know that so many of our students have their workbooks downloaded and printed and they're ready to go. And day one is always my favorite day of the workshop. I mean, of course, days 2 and 3 are phenomenal as well, but this is just like such a fun day. So if you are already registered, then we will see you soon. And if you have not yet and you would like to join us today, we are going live at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and there will be replays available for a week as well. You can go to thelevelupco.com/workshop and register and hop in. It's not too late.
Yes, it's not too late. And if you want to still save your seat, you can go to thelevelupco.com/workshop and register, be able to get your workbook, which is pretty magical. Taylor is our workbook queen, and she does such a great job at it. And I'm just like, every time she sends me the workbook on whatever we have going on, whatever resource we have, I'm like, these students are so lucky to have such a tangible piece. I personally love to print it out myself and fill it in and keep it on my desk as something to just refer to throughout the course of the workshop. And then even afterwards too, as I want to reflect back on goals that I set for my business. We hope to see you inside the Road to Luxury. And today we have a really exciting guest joining us. Taylor, you want to give us a little precursor on who it is?
Yes, today we are joined by Giselle Films. She is a very talented filmmaker who is just so inspiring. I think that her brand and her work and her overall vibe and I don't know, like the aura around her is just so positive and bright and great. And she has some amazing things to share with us today, specifically about how she started growing in the industry due to second shooting. It was like a big part of her story. So we're really excited for you guys to listen to her interview, and here it is. This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm Taylor Petrinovich.
And I'm Kelly Gilster of 618 Studios.
And we are on a mission to help wedding filmmakers and photographers level up their businesses so you can make more and work less.
We want to help you confidently take your business from mainstream to luxury, and it all starts right here. Well, hey, Giselle, we are so excited to have you on the podcast this week. How have you been? How's your season?
Hi guys, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. My season's going great. I'm in the middle of it, so I still got a few more months of like nonstop weekends.
Amazing. Giselle, you and I had a chance to do a one-on-one together while you were within our mastermind program. And I was telling Taylor, like, you're just the most adorable, like, bundle of joy. Like, I just think you're the most adorable little human. And I just loved our one-on-one together and seeing all the changes and growth in your business over our 12 weeks together within Mastermind. And I'm so excited for the road that you have ahead in your business.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, yeah, I definitely think that's the vibe I give off.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably get that from like other vendors and like clients too.
Yeah, all the time.
The cutest smile too. Well, for those of you who, may not know Giselle, can you paint a picture a little bit, introduce yourself, tell the listeners how long you've been in business, where you're located, all of the great things that you'd love for them to learn about you.
Okay, yeah. Well, I would say I officially started the wedding filmmaking journey in 2017 here in Miami, Florida. I started out essentially just wanting to be a professional second shooter because I did not fathom how like I could be the one responsible for someone's wedding day. And I started working with a company that was on the higher end of the market, and they were pretty well respected in this area. So I got a lot of experience really fast. They were filming upwards of like 60 weddings a year, and I went from being essentially an assistant to a second shooter to leading their team.
Wow.
for video. Yeah. So I got a lot of experience. I'm very comfortable walking into a wedding now, thanks to them. You know, they nurtured my growth and they gave me the the ability to believe in myself, essentially.
That's so cool. So you did that from 2017. Did you say till when?
Probably until about COVID. So COVID, yeah, once COVID hit, nothing was guaranteed anymore. And I kind of took that as a chance to be like, okay, let's keep working because Miami didn't really shut down, thankfully. So I started offering a bunch of free videos to like photographers, planners, small businesses. It didn't really pan out very well. I've noticed in my business that whenever I offer anything for free, it doesn't work out really. Um, but I started filming my cousin's weddings on my own. And through that, I was able to build a portfolio. I also got one photographer who would recommend me to her friends, and that helped add more weddings to my list, you know, and that's where my portfolio came from, essentially. But last year, I would say was the year that I took on the most weddings, and that was a trip.
Amazing. So here we are sitting in the spring of 2024. You've essentially, your business is roughly 4 years old, it sounds like. How does your business look now in 2024, looking ahead and even maybe into 2025?
Um, well, last year was probably the season I took on the most weddings. And from that, I learned a lot. I think I had 15 weddings in a matter of 4 or 5 months, and they were super back to back. It was super overwhelming. And at the end of that season, after looking back at it, I realized I was severely like burnt out and unfulfilled, unfortunately. And I don't think it was the caliber of weddings that I was shooting or even the client. I think it was, I was so unfulfilled because when I got there to the wedding, there was no like collaborative spirit. Everyone was there for themselves. Like the planners didn't care about photo video, the photographer obviously didn't care about video. So every time I would ask for a shot, just one shot for video, you know, I would always get turned down by the photographer or the planner saying we don't have time, or the couple just being too tired because they're done taking photos. Um, and that was super disheartening. You know, I ended my season and I was just kind of bitter. I didn't want to help anyone else anymore. Going into weddings, I was like, all right, you're working for yourself. I'm going to focus on myself too. And um, at the end of my season last year is when I found Level Up. And I was like, wait, there's people who believe, have my same mentality, you know, like they believe the same way I believe. And that was definitely refreshing as I was booking weddings for my next season. So then finding Mastermind and Level Up, um, I already had my 2024 season booked. And here I was learning all these things that I wish I knew before I had booked my 2024 season. So I was a little bit discouraged, but still hopeful because I was like, okay, I'll go into these weddings that were definitely in the budget market, and I'm going to use the tools that they gave me, you know, like look for the luxury aspect of each wedding, see where they spent the most money. And that's essentially what I'm doing. While I was in the mastermind, though, since I was already booked, I had no hesitation raising my prices. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just put it at where I think I should be. And I actually booked 5 more weddings for my 2024 season at that price point. So I was like, perfect. I'm okay adding more if you're willing to pay for it, kind of, you know?
We all have that limit of like how many weddings we want to book, but then if they're willing to pay a price, we'll go over. So super
Yeah,
relatable.
exactly.
That is so incredible. I love hearing your journey and the fact that your wedding season is like opposite of most of us in the US. Like you're finishing up as we're getting started. Works out in your favor because when we launched, it was June. You were probably, having some more time on your hands, and so you were able to learn and implement all of these things in order to start up your season. When is the season really start in Miami? Is it like a November, December?
Yeah, yeah. So November it really kicks off and it ends about April. And then just from like May to October, there's like nothing.
Perfect. And we're
Yeah.
opposite. Like my wedding season is like always May through October. So how funny.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about what your pricing is looking like now? So like you made that price increase, you booked 5 more weddings immediately for this season. Where are you kind of sitting right now?
So the weddings I already had booked in 2024, they were probably between the 3K to 5K budget. And then since I was already booked, I upped it to like minimum 6K. So the extra 5 weddings that I booked were 6K and above. And I was just like, let's do it. You know, you're actually more of my ideal client too, more outdoor venues. And I was just like, okay, let's roll with it. This is going to be great for my portfolio.
Your prices have doubled, like from 3 to 6, like amazing. Amazing.
When we did our one-on-one, you told me how you had doubled your prices just with the awareness that you kind of gathered through Mastermind, and also, you know, the community to like really like have a cheerleading community behind you to be like, you can do this. Like you can raise your prices without your clients batting an eye. All it takes is like structuring your business and your brand in a certain way. And I just love that it was so simple and easy for you. Because I think a lot of people, they are like, oh, I know that I'm worth more. I'm just going to double my prices. And then they're confused why it isn't like converting with bookings. And a lot of times it's because they just don't really have that strategy in place. So I'm just so happy for you that that was like such a win and an easy transition. And I feel like 2025 is also going to be an incredible year for you.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. Yeah, when I found Mastermind, I was like, it's not really my season. I don't know how helpful this is going to be, but I think it was the best time to hop into it was outside of my season because I already had my season booked. I really didn't hesitate raising my prices. I could wait till my season was over to see if people were biting or not. And they bit, and now there's like no going back.
There's no going back. It's only up from here, Giselle. That's so
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
One thing that we love about the mastermind too is the sense of community. And you just shot a couple weddings this last weekend, and you had one of your fellow mastermind members join you as a second shooter. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, absolutely. So I knew like my weddings in February were more aligned with like who my ideal client was. They still weren't in that same budget that I wanted, but I thought it was so important to get someone who is kind of like me in a second shooting sense that they're working for the one product, you know, for my company. They're not just trying to grow themselves. Um, and they understand also what it is to act at a wedding. You know, they're not dressed poorly, they're dressed nicely. And so I followed Amanda on Instagram and I loved her work. Honestly, I felt like it resonated a lot with my work as well. It kind of felt like it matched. So I reached out to her and I was like, are you free in February? I have 2 back-to-back weddings and I would love if like you could come out and help me. And she did. She came out and honestly, it was so great. I felt like we were just 2 first shooters, but like in different sections of the day. You know, whenever I was busy, I could trust that she knew exactly what she had to get and how to act and all that. And it was honestly so worth it. It was an investment because, like I said, those weddings were not in the budget of flying out a second shooter, but it was definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Yeah, I think is Amanda based in Ohio? Is that right?
Um, Pennsylvania, I
Oh,
think.
Pennsylvania. Yeah. So I mean that's a significant, travel travel day for her. And
Yeah.
what you did is something that I've done in the past too is like you are able to identify some of those like portfolio worthy weddings or the ones that really are going to get you to that next level and you invest accordingly, like hiring a team that maybe you don't have the budget for, but you kind of eat the cost because you see it as an investment, like truly. I think that's so smart. And finding someone on the same level as you, if not better, is such a key way to hire second shooters, I think. Before we hit record, Kelly, you had a great point that a lot of people tend to kind of skimp out on the second shooters in order to save money. And I think that is really to a lot of people's detriment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like was looking at we had Peyton in the mastermind And I know that Peyton, obviously, I mean, people would love to work with her, but she hires people who are on her level, you know, that they have their own companies. So that's what I was looking for. I was looking for people who were still open-minded enough to like help another company out, even though they're kind of either on my level or higher. I actually also flew in someone from New York who definitely was in a higher market than I was, but we shared the same mentality. It's really just having that right community around you that helps you grow. And I'm so grateful that that's one of the things that Mastermind gave me.
Yeah. We love our mastermind group too, because we do keep it so close knit. This isn't like a huge mastermind where you're going to feel like lost in the shuffle. Like Taylor and I really have intentionality about the size that we keep it at so that we can ensure that everybody feels like there is still that one-on-one aspect, that we know the ins and outs of your business, and we're not just speaking to you, but we're hearing from you as well. Each week is a really open and Q&A time at the end where we can hear from everybody what's going on in their business, any troubleshooting that they need help with. And so, yeah, when you posted in our alumni group afterwards, Giselle, you and Amanda together, I was like, this is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Like, my coach heart is so happy right now to see you guys together. And actually, they did the cutest, like, leveling up in real life, or IRL. And
Yeah.
Taylor texted me and was like,
A little
oh my
hashtag.
gosh, they made their own hashtag. And I was like, wait, let's like this should be a thing. Like, we should keep this going. Hashtag leveling up IRL.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's one of we're all we all have the same mentality. We all want to grow. And it's so important to find those people because if not, they're not really helping, you know, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing about finding a community that really resonates with the level that you want to get to, or that, yeah, share that same, a community isn't always going to like follow along, especially if you have big goals. And if you listen to this podcast or you follow us on Instagram, like Taylor and I know that like you all have big goals. You want to stop, playing small. And so it's so cool when, that's kind of our heart behind all of this, is to lean into that teammate mindset that honestly the luxury market has, right? I like, my heart felt so sad hearing you say like I was burnt out because no one was a teammate in this budget market and this mainstream market, and I very much experienced that too in the beginning years of my business. So it's such a win to find a community that you resonate with and is going to help you reach those goals.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's like the budget market didn't really bother me for any of like the details and all that because I care about my couples. Like if you didn't have the money to splurge on all this like grandeur, fine. But it was definitely the lack of collaboration on a wedding day that got me and I was just like so discouraged. I became so bitter and I was like, I used to love this industry. Where are the people that can make me love it again, you know? And thankfully I
Yeah.
found you guys through that free workshop actually. And then I was like, you know what, let's do Mastermind. And it's been the biggest blessing. Like I'm going into this season, I'm still kind of burnt out because I didn't finish my backlog from last season, but I'm more hopeful in the things I'm seeing and the way I'm seeing them now, you know?
Yeah, that's great. So when we asked you to be a guest on the podcast, obviously like we've been on your website a lot of times, but I really went down a rabbit hole looking at your portfolio. And you guys, if you're not already following Giselle on Instagram, like please go do that. Are you at Giselle Films, like any underscores or anything?
No, just at Giselle Films. Yeah, and GiselleFilms.com.
Yeah, so you should go check her out for sure. And I saw some like fun wedding destinations that you've done in there, and I would kind of like to talk about that because I think that a lot of people, when they think about scaling their businesses, it's this like big decision between like, oh, do I just stay local? Do I travel? And I would like to hear a little bit about your experiences, especially as you're, elevating your brand and your pricing and all of those things.
Yeah, so I did a couple of destination weddings last year. Definitely budget market. Like I did not charge extra for anything. I like essentially would fly myself out there. Two of them did pay for like flight and accommodation, but it was like still at my budget pricing, so it's like I wasn't really making much. And honestly, it was great. I think I shot a wedding in San Francisco and in Hawaii, and those were amazing. Just because like the scenery itself kind of gives into the luxury market. The wedding
Yeah.
didn't have to be super like luxurious in order for that to work out. Um, and I actually like hired a second shooter from here, and thankfully the brides paid for that too. Um, and it honestly worked out for the best. And they were my kind of brides too. I tend to really like working with the content brides where they do like
Okay.
content just because they know that they know they have to work the camera a little bit.
Yeah.
So
So
those
like a more
were,
social media like minded brides
yeah,
maybe who like want that Instagram content.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's just the awareness of the camera essentially that they have that definitely works for my video type. And yeah, the weddings were honestly very easy to work. There wasn't that much collaborative spirit, but it wasn't detrimental, like where sometimes it's like the photographer has the scene and that's it. It was very still like there was enough time in the timeline for to allow video some space, even if like every other vendor was still just thinking about themselves.
That's great to
So
I
hear.
good.
Yeah, the wedding I shot in Mexico, however, kind of made me um never want to do an international wedding again.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, Mexico's hard to work with. They've got a lot of rules.
They
Yeah,
do. Yeah.
yeah, and in my budget market, like I think I charged the bride like 3K. And when I got there, the customs people like pulled me over and they saw all my gear. They saw my drone and they charged accordingly. I had to pay a tax.
Yeah. Oh man, that is so
Unfortunate.
tough because I've actually never done a wedding in Mexico before. I'm open to it more now, especially like Cabo area, but I have heard of like the red light, green light, and if you get the red light, then they're going to pull you aside, and I think I've heard like no more than 2 cameras, and
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of, for those who are interested in doing like international destination stuff, it's important to kind of do your research on like any permits that might be needed for that country, or just like what their requirements are when you travel into their country for work. I've heard too, like a lot of people say, like, you're just like a hobbyist, right? You're just a hobbyist for the weekend coming down to like help capture your friend's wedding type of thing. But I'm sorry that you had that experience. Hopefully, maybe
Yeah.
you'll have a redemption experience later down the road.
Oh man, I hope so too. Yeah, it was just so scary, like getting pulled aside. And like I knew the rule before going, like you're not allowed to take a drone. But I took my drone because I was hiring someone from Mexico to fly my drone. But they don't know that. They don't care. They don't want you to bring in the drone.
Oh, yeah. They're like no gray area for them.
Yeah, I've heard that about Canada and Mexico too. So, like, our two bordering countries, which is so tough because I think that a lot of inquiries come from those places. But I want to circle back really quick to something that you said. And you said that the locations themselves in San Francisco and in Hawaii were enough to kind of give you material to speak to that luxury client. And I want to touch on this because I think it's so important. A lot of our listeners are not yet in that luxury space, but that is what they're aspiring to get to. And I think this is a key piece of information for a lot of people to wrap their minds around is really knowing how to maximize what you're given to work with, right? So you said like you learned to develop an eye for maybe where these clients were splurging a little bit more, even though the wedding itself wasn't luxury, there were a few key pieces, and then even like the locations being luxury. So can you talk a little bit about how that played into your strategy when it came to like building your social media or things like that? Like what were you really keying in on to make your brand feel more luxury than it is now? I mean, we're going to get there for sure, but
Yeah.
sometimes you got to fake it till you make it.
Yeah. I mean, you guys definitely helped a lot in helping me identify what looks luxury and what doesn't. Um, did not know that thing about the white chairs. So now every time I see them, I'm like, well, all right, we're sticking to close-ups. Or maybe a drone shot, because a drone shot can look cool, you know? You can play
Yeah.
up the white chairs. But yeah, you guys helped me identify that. And honestly, in my social media, I never had a big social media presence. I think I always had like 20 to 25 posts on my page just because social media to me was overwhelming and I didn't know what to post. So also going through the course, you helped me really hone in on what it is I should post because, I could post every wedding, but not every wedding is my ideal client. And that was the struggle I was having without knowing it, like I didn't want to post every bride because was I doing it justice to like the brand that I wanted to build? Um, and so you guys actually help me post more now that I have that sense of what I'm looking for. Definitely in those destination weddings, the one in Mexico was definitely grand. They had a lot of details in the reception area, and the guests were very like they were wedding vendors. They were all wedding vendors, so
Oh,
they knew
really?
exactly. Like, yeah, it was a wedding planner's wedding.
Okay.
She knew exactly what she was doing, and her guests did too. So like I think during the cocktail hour, I would pull the best dressed guests aside and be like, "Do you guys want to do something for the video?" And of course, they know exactly what I'm doing. I'm like, "All right, just walk and talk and be cool and pretend I'm not here." And I would just record them as they're going by because they looked so fashionable. And that was something that I wanted to touch on in my brand was like the best dressed guest. I'm always saying it, like go all out for the weddings you're attending. And
Yep.
yeah, you guys definitely helped me pick and choose better what I should be posting. So now I'm actually posting more than I did before just because I have a better picture of my brand and my ideal client.
I love it. It's like so freeing to be able to have that strategy at your fingertips, to be able to, it's not that we're creating more work for you as a filmmaker. And I think that's the coolest thing about like feedback that we've heard from our course and from Mastermind is that like, it's not that you're piling on all this homework for me to do. You're actually refining and simplifying and giving me easier methods to be able to post on social media strategically, be able to post, less portfolio or have less of a portfolio on my website, but it's a very strategic portfolio that Taylor and I are walking you through. So that's the biggest thing too that I think, for me, myself, I'm super busy. I'm like, I never want stuff to be like piled onto my plate. So if someone were to tell me like, I'm actually going to like take things off of your plate and tell you exactly the steps needed, then I'd be like, oh, yeah, I definitely want that. I don't want to be like given all this homework and pile more things on.
Yeah, exactly. Like before, I was stressing the fact that I didn't have enough posts and that I wasn't posting too consistently. And then after the mastermind, you guys gave me the peace of mind to be like, no, it's fine. You don't have to have every single wedding posted in order to book clients. And that was so freeing. Like, I no longer stress about social media. I'm just like, no, what I have on there is what I want to show. And that is what people are going to see. And that's going to help my business. You guys definitely helped ease a lot of the stress that I was having over that.
That's great. I don't know if you guys have heard this phrase where it's you generally spend 20% of your time to get 80% of the results. And then the other like 80% of your time is spent on like nonsensical things that are not really moving the needle. And like that's kind of what we do. Like instead of spinning your wheels and like throwing spaghetti at a wall, like we're going to teach you that 20% so that you can save yourself that other 80% of your time. I don't know, something about that phrase like really resonates with me. I like love efficiency. And I feel like there's a way to be efficient in your business and there's a way to like be busy and look busy, but not really be doing anything worthwhile. And I think that so many people feel incredibly busy, which leads to burnout, which leads to frustration, which leads to making horrible business decisions out of desperation when you don't really need to. Like, you really only need to spend that 20% of time on the things that matter. So it's like such a great point.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the type of person that I care so much that literally I would stress every wedding because it's like, was I doing enough? And then with the shot list that you guys gave, the elevated shot list, that also like just, eased my mind. It helped me like hone in on exactly just focus on this. This is the stuff you should be getting. And then don't stress so much, if you know who your ideal client is, you know what you can and can't post. It you got yeah, this season is I booked just as many weddings as last year, but I don't feel as stressed.
I love
That's
it.
great.
I definitely feel like when I was working for that other company for like 3 years before COVID, I was in the lovely to luxury market because that's the clients that they were getting. Obviously, not all luxury because they were shooting more than 60 weddings a year, but that was the space I was in. So I was kind of used to that. And then when I went by myself in the budget market and no one was like treating me right, I was just so like blown away. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Oh
This
my
is
gosh.
not
So yeah,
fun.
I just like kind of realized that you almost took like a back step because you know you were started off your business second shooting for this other company and got a taste of that luxury market, and then you know kind of had to like when you started your own business you had to start from the ground up. So I mean that's kind of cool. I don't feel like a lot of people have that experience, or not many that we've talked to on this podcast.
Yeah. I definitely am so grateful for it because going into my own weddings, like when I worked for them, you see all the problems and everything that occur or anything that can go wrong. And it wasn't up to me, it wasn't my business. So it was fine. And then in my own business, like I know already what problems could arise. And so I'm already prepared for it going into all my own weddings. But then starting at that budget market again was really hard.
Yeah. It's almost like you had to like go back and like pay your dues a little bit so that you could like really appreciate like being in a
Yeah.
higher level.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know like the struggles, then I feel like you're less motivated to make it work. Um, I'm seeing a lot of similarities between yours and we had Matthew of Cinemat Films on the podcast a few weeks ago, and he kind of had a similar story where he got a taste of luxury while working under another brand, and then when he was going back and like doing his own weddings, he's like, okay, I can't go back now. Like I need to find a way to make this luxury market work for my own business, and I feel like it's kind of similar for you. So looking to 2025, I mean, obviously you just did a really great price increase. You increased your prices by double. What's on the horizon for you?
I want to keep growing. Definitely get into like at least the beginning luxury market. Just because I feel like that's where my mindset is at and like my lifestyle. Like that's where I want my lifestyle to be. And um I'm gonna promote all those weddings that booked me at this current price point because it you guys also helped me be more selective with the inquiries I was getting and how to decide who fits my ideal client from what the information they're giving me. So with that in mind, I made the choices with the brides that were able to pay at this price point. And so I know kind of like what I'm waiting to show off from those weddings once they come up, because there was those little selling points that I was like, yeah, let's do that.
That's great. It's so good to like go into it with a strategy too. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that photographers and filmmakers really miss out on is the awareness and going into a wedding day with a plan in place. And I'm not talking about like storyboarding out the wedding, like if you're a filmmaker, like storyboarding things out, but like really recognizing like who are the key players that are a part of this wedding. Like in the budget market, in the lovely market, that's what those really lack is um understanding like who's going to be a part of that wedding and how that's going to elevate your brand as well. And so now that you have that and you can kind of like go into the ones and literally pinpoint which are going to be your portfolio worthy weddings. That was something that I really didn't do until about 3 years ago, understanding like looking into 2022. It was kind of after COVID, honestly, that like that's when, because beforehand I kind of was like sort of like wavering in my strategy, and then COVID hit and that kind of like knocked out 2 years of like any strategy because weddings were like kind of out the door, and then you're just kind of like taking what booked you in 2019. But since then, like I can literally look at my 2024 year and be like, these 5 are our portfolio. And I can even tell you what about them is going to be portfolio worthy. If it's the location, if it's the planner and designer on this, if it's the photographer who I'm working alongside. And that's really, really cool because you can like really then set yourself up for an even better next year, next booking season.
Exactly. That's kind of how I went into it. So, like, because you guys helped me identify my client better in the inquiry process, I am so looking forward to those new weddings because I know what points of them I'm going to show off, and who I can tag and stuff like that. So, I'm just like really excited. And I know that I could probably raise my prices after being able to show those off. So, just keep going up.
Amazing. Well, we are so excited to just keep seeing you rise within the industry, keep that needle moving further and further along in your business. And we know that the luxury market is like really where you belong. You have the mindset for it. Now you have the strategy for it, thanks to being in mastermind and diving into all things within our course. And so we are really, really excited for you. You're kind of one of our all-star students who have like really taken things and implemented them in a way that is yielding in true results. And it's so exciting to see.
No, and thank you guys. I'm so grateful that you showed me the possibility of it because going back into that budget market was like I thought I was going to be like stuck there and that's just what I have to deal with every year. But you definitely proved to me that my mentality was right. I can shoot with a more collaborative team. I can shoot these more beautiful weddings and with clients who actually care about video. And you gave me a community too that I can reach out to and who support each other because that's like so important. Like every once in a while, I think Matthew will like send an affirmation and I'm just like, wow, this is great. You know what? I don't do this enough. So it's definitely been a blessing to find the mastermind and level up.
That's amazing. And we're so happy to have you in there. You were just such a joy. As you guys can tell, as you're listening to this, like she's clearly just a ray of sunshine. So Giselle, I do sincerely want everyone who's listening to go give you a follow. So where can they find you online again?
I'm at Giselle Films on Instagram and my website is gisellefilms.com.
Cool. Well, thanks so much, Giselle. We cannot wait to continue to see all of the amazing content that you put out on your website, on social media, and just with that strategy in place, your business is really going to soar. And we can't wait to see the rest of 2024 and what you have in store for 2025.
Thank you for joining us in today's conversation. Please help us reach more filmmakers and photographers like you by taking a screenshot and sharing it to social media. And don't forget to tag us at The Level Up Co.
And join us again next week, same time, same place, as we continue to level up the industry together.